Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is going to be a one-off show here on the Dis Unplugged channel. We are in the process of recording our DVC shows, and I've been getting questions lately about renting DVC points if you're not a DVC member. And I thought we would do a show here kind of discussing that. Now, in full disclosure, we are sponsored by the World of DVC, which is a company that has DVCResaleMarket.com for people who want to buy DVC resale contracts, DVCRentalStore.com, which is the company we're going to be talking about here today, that rents out DVC points, and MoneroFinancial.com, which is the company that you can use to finance a DVC purchase. But we're not doing this to push DVC necessarily. We are doing this to discuss DVCRentalStore.com and the work that they do, and to answer some of the big questions that we get. You know, people are always looking to save money on a Disney vacation, okay? It's especially now, more and more, it is so expensive, and this is a legitimate way. And I wouldn't be putting my voice to this if it wasn't legitimate, and I wouldn't be putting my voice to this if I wasn't a customer of this company. So I'm speaking from personal experience about their legitimacy and about, I'm getting a week in a 2-bedroom villa at the Grand Californian in February, which you just can't touch. You just can't touch. And they got it for me in a matter of minutes. So I thought it would be good content for this channel and a good opportunity to expose folks to DVC Rental Store if we did a show talking about what that process is. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, do I have to be a DVC member in order to rent these points out? You do not. As a matter of fact, I would say probably the majority of your business, Paul. Oh, I haven't even introduced anybody sitting at the table. I'm getting into this whole thing. I haven't introduced anybody sitting at the table. Joining me in the studio this week, my good friends from DVCRentalStore.com, Mr. Paul Krieger.
Hey, everybody.
From MoneroFinancial.com, Ms. Amy Krieger.
Hello.
And from DVCResaleMarket.com, Ms. Sue Saunders.
Hi there.
Our producer this week, Mr. John Sakari, BigFatPanda.com.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
And so I'm getting those plugs in for you.
Thank you very much.
Don't you forget it.
I do not.
What's a dollar per prescriber?
Dollar prescriber.
Per subscriber.
It's been a long day.
Use your words. Use your words. So, yeah, I wanted to do this because, like I said, I get asked about it a lot. And, you know, the one thing I get asked, do I need to be a DVC member? No, you don't. You don't have to be a DVC member. You don't have to buy in a DVC. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But the number one reason people do this is it's a savings. Plus, go check out what a 1-bedroom suite at a Disney hotel costs and compare that to what you're going to get in a 1-bedroom villa if you're renting out points. And the other question that gets brought up a lot, we get a lot, coming with a large family group, let's say, and you need more than one room. There are options on DVC that DVC has that are a lot more economical than they are if you're going to try and book 4 hotel rooms. So let's talk a little bit about that, Paul, in terms of the savings.
Yeah. So, you know, renting DVC points, the big thing that we tell people about is the fact that, you know, you can save up to 60% or more off of traditional rack rate prices. Now that does vary. You know, I think on average, it's probably somewhere in like the 30 to 40% range, but depending on the room, depending on the season, when you're looking to travel, there's a considerable savings here. And I always default back to, you know, how Amy and I traveled before we were DVC members. We were the people that were staying in value accommodations or staying in moderate level accommodations, planning our whole DVC stay and looking at these deluxe level accommodations, these deluxe villas, and sort of laughing at the thought that we would ever affordably be able to stay there. And that's really what renting DVC points does, is it brings that down to these people that normally would be staying in moderate level accommodations or stuff like that. And also it's a significant savings over Disney rack rate pricing. So we pulled up some examples in terms of that savings, because that's I think that's the eye catcher here with renting DVC points. So let's look at a Saratoga Springs Deluxe Studio at the end of November, 1st of December. So right now, this would be a 5-night stay. And with DVC Rental Store, we have that stay priced at $1,656 for the total of that 5-night stay. You can basically purchase that for that price. That is purchasing that a DVC member already has that room secured and basically ready to go. You can purchase that, go ahead and stay there. Now, Disney is selling that same room. Disney also is selling these DVC rooms at what they would call rack rate pricing. So we looked and figured out what is that rack rate for that same room. For that same Saratoga Springs room, direct through Disney, $2,749.52. So that's over by booking and renting those DVC points and booking with DVC Rental Store, you're saving 40% or over $1,000 on that vacation. Now, if that's not enough, let's take that a layer further and compare it to, as I mentioned before, Amy and I used to stay at moderate level accommodations. So let's look at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. Same dates, same vacation. Typically how I would have vacationed before I knew about renting DVC points or became a DVC member. $1,617 is the price for that same stay at Coronado Springs. Now, Coronado's beautiful resort, not going to knock it, kind of like it, but for $40 more, you're staying at a deluxe property at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real big takeaway, is that that you're making these types of villas, these type of accommodations more attainable for people. And as we started off by saying, it's a huge savings. It's when you Google Disney savings, when you start planning that Disney vacation, this is one of those big items, those action items that are out there that can help you in saving that money.
And just to back up just a moment and explain to people like this process. What happens is DVC members, of which we're all DVC members here, let's say we have points that we're not going to use. We can go to DVC Rental Store and rent those points out. DVC Rental Store then is in the position to use those points to book these rooms. Or let's say I book a room for a week and I give it to DVC Rental Store to book that out. Now, what's important to understand is DVC Rental Store goes to great lengths to make sure that these are all legit. They go to incredible lengths. There were all sorts of things I had to sign and do and promise when I was renting out points. But that gave me a good feeling.
Yep.
That gave me a good feeling. I mean, I know you're legit because, like, I know you. I know you.
You don't think I'm sketchy?
I don't. Well, I think it's, but not on that. Not on that. You're not sketchy. And because I was in a situation like my own situation where I've got a bunch of people going to Disneyland after a trip to Aulani that I'm planning in February. And I'm looking at the price of rooms at the Grand Californian.
Oh, yeah.
Steep.
And we're talking $700, $800, $900 a night for that. Let's just say for the 2-bedroom villa I was able to secure through this, I'm not paying anything close to that. I'm not paying anything close to that. So, well, maybe not close to it, but I mean, I'm paying. It's not like free. But as you're planning your Disney vacation, if you're not looking at this as a potential option, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving money on the table. if you've never considered it, you're leaving money on the table. Now, it doesn't always work out. Maybe they can't find a room for the dates you need, or there are, any number of things that can happen. But generally speaking, this is an option that should be a regular part of your trip planning process. What about renting out DVC points? And I know there are people watching this right now saying, I never even knew that was a thing, which is why I wanted to do this on this channel. Because I just get the question so often that I thought it really is something we should talk about.
And I think that planning and saving component, those two things really go hand in hand. If you're not planning, you're probably not saving. And I stress that importance, especially with people that are unfamiliar with DVC or Disney Vacation Club, because DVC members have the ability to book 11 months from today for the next year. So, I could book a vacation 11 months from today right now. Which also means that if I'm a DVC member renting my points out, I can book that reservation for that guest 11 months in advance. And that is when the best availability is out there. Because, let's look at it like a building that has 10 rooms in it. There are only 10 rooms. There's that fixed number of 10 rooms. When those get booked up, there's no more rooms available. And so when it comes to Disney Vacation Club, there is a finite number of rooms in each of these room categories, whether you're looking for a deluxe studio or a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, grand villa, whatever it might be. So members that own at those resorts have the greatest option and the greatest availability, which is really the key. Availability is a word we'll keep coming back to. They have the greatest availability within that 11-month window. So when you're thinking about planning that next Disney World trip, you want to be thinking 11 months in advance. I always tell people, start planning a year in advance, because that then allows you to save. That then allows you to get sort of the best value that you can when it comes to going to Walt Disney World. And in walking through that process a little bit with DVC Rental Store, what that looks like is, first and foremost, you would head to dvcrentalstore.com, click on the Guest tab, and click on Check DVC Availability. And what this is going to allow you to do is input the dates that you're looking to travel, and then begin to browse the different resorts and the different room categories that are out there and see what the price is going to be for each one. That's also going to show you availability for those rooms. Is that room actually available? Because again, if you waited until 5 months before your vacation to plan, probably not going to be available because most of that availability has gone away. So planning far in advance is going to be the key to that. So let's say that, Animal Kingdom Lodge is where you wanted to stay. You wanted a 1-bedroom villa. You found the dates that you were looking for are available. You liked the price. You want to move forward with that reservation. At that point, we call that submitting a request. So you're submitting a rental request to our team. And to do that, you are putting down a $100 refundable deposit on that reservation. We then, and more specifically my team, on the member side of things, then look at that request and we find somebody to match those points with. So let's say that Panda has Animal Kingdom points and he's looking to rent them out. He's told us as the DVC rental store that he's renting those points out this year. He doesn't want to use them. We say, oh, perfect. We found a guest that's interested in staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, this 1-bedroom villa. Can you go ahead and book this reservation on behalf of the guest? We give them all the information that they need to do that. They book that reservation, and that basically completes that portion of the rental process. At that point in time, we would go back to you, the guest, and we would make sure that we get your full deposit. That deposit is 25% of that total that is due to you, as long as you're planning far out, like we emphasize that you probably should. So it's a 25% full deposit. We get you to sign off on what we call our rental agreement, which is that binding agreement between you, the guest, and the member, because those contracts are important and we do want this to be a legit process. But once those two things are done, that sort of completes the rental process.
And let's not skip over that too much.
Yeah.
This is where your assurance comes in that this is legit.
Yeah.
And that you're going to have a room when you show up, because that's another concern that I know people have, that, is this really legit? And it is 100% legit.
And what's great about that is that once everything is confirmed, our team's going to make sure that the member booked that room properly, that everything looks good. But we're going to provide you with a confirmation number that you're going to put into your My Disney Experience app. And it's going to be just like you booked that room direct through Disney. So now within that app, you're going to be able to do your dining reservations in advance of the reservation, in advance of your reservation. You're going to be able to, make your park pass reservations, all of that stuff that you're used to doing as part of maybe booking directly or just booking that room only stay direct through Disney. So the process is very similar after we get through that booking process. It's just you've saved a buttload of money in the process, which is really the kicker here, which is what most people are looking to do. It's why we bought into DVC.
I just had to book a room for a friend who's coming in over Thanksgiving. And, I'm checking out what's available. 1-bedroom villa, garden or pool view at Boardwalk over Thanksgiving week. How much a night?
1 bedroom?
1 bedroom.
I'd say 900.
Very close.
Wow.
Very close. 942.
Ouch.
$942 a night for a 1 bedroom.
That's a lot.
Now, because what happens is DVC will take some of these rooms and give it to Disney to rent out on, like when you go to Disney.com or you go to DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com and put a request in for certain dates, you might see a 1-bedroom villa. That's a DVC room that Disney is renting out. And that's what they're charging for a 1-bedroom, $942. And when you go through this process, it's usually less expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes considerably less expensive.
And something else to keep in mind when you rent DVC points, just like when DVC members use their points, you also get free parking at your resort.
Good point.
Which can save, how much is a deluxe resort parking per night? Is it 25, 35?
Yeah.
30.
30.
Yeah.
So if you're staying for, extended period of time, that's a significant savings, alone. And then because you're booking a deluxe resort, you also get access to those deluxe park hours that they offer, at different times of the, different evenings at different parks. So you still get to take advantage of those since you'll be staying at a deluxe resort. And if you're used to, staying at moderates like we used to, when you upgrade to staying at deluxe, you get things like a balcony, outside your room. You also, usually end up in a better location. Paul was talking about Saratoga versus Coronado earlier. If you're staying at Coronado, which we do enjoy, but you go to Saratoga instead, now you can walk to Disney Springs, you can take a boat to Disney Springs. A lot of the deluxe resorts are in, the prime locations that have walking distance or Skyliner access or boat access, just easier transportation usually.
And one of the things I normally will say when we do our DVC shows, if you want to try DVC before you buy, this is a great way to do it. Because DVC is a financial commitment. No way around that. It's a financial commitment. If you want to buy into DVC, this is a nice way to dip your toe in the water and see if this is something you're going to like. But I got to imagine there are people who rent out DVC points and come back and say, I want to be a DVC member.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
sure that happens.
Happens
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time, and Sue and I email back and forth
Yes.
all the time. And it also goes both ways. We even have you reach out to me before where we've had a member that was unable to maybe get the reservation that they want, or they knew that the reservation that they were going to go for was going to be gone
Right.
if they waited until that 7-month window, and so they reach out and they say, hey, I want to rent points so that I can ensure that I get into this room that I want to stay in, and do that. So it goes both ways in terms of the purchasing of DVC process.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a friend of mine who has 2 small boys, and she was looking to stay down here, and she was going to stay at Art of Animation. And I talked her into renting through you a 1-bedroom for a couple of reasons. You have a washer and dryer there. You have a full-size kitchen, so you can make breakfast for the kids. You can come back and use the pool and have lunch there. And the key thing, you have a separate door to the master bedroom, so you can tune them out. And so she did. She looked at it and she said, well, I don't think I could get a good price. And when she looked, she got the same dates from you, and she was so pleased that it did not cost her much more. It was just a few dollars more than what she was going to pay for one of the suites over at Art of Animation.
Yeah.
And she was able to get her tickets through you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just wanted to point out real quick with renting DVC points is that, something we learned throughout the pandemic was also the importance of cancellation protection. And previously, prior to the pandemic, DVC Rental Store offered a point protection that was an add-on to each reservation. We decided, emerging from the pandemic, that was going to go away. Our point cancellation policy is baked into every single reservation that we sell. And that provides a tiered credit depending on when you cancel that reservation. Obviously, if you cancel very close the week of that reservation, you're not going to receive as high of a credit. But we did want to bake a nice cancellation policy into those, because that's something that right now a lot of people are looking at. We're all sort of a little bit unsure about the future now that we just went through what we went through. And so that's been a big takeaway in talking to a lot of guests, in that they're looking for that sort of vacation insurance, that protection of their vacation. And so that's been a big factor and been something that we've changed in our policies, just to furthermore provide even more protection, more savings to our guests. So renting DVC points is a huge way, like I said, to save money. I would continue to emphasize, plan ahead in that process as much as you can. Plan within that, again, whatever 11 months from today is when that DVC member could book that exact stay for you. So the more you plan, the more potential you have in saving, really.
And if you've not seen DVC rooms before, then I encourage you to go to dvcfan.com, which is one of my websites. And on the menu, you'll see room tours. And on there, we have 3D walkthroughs of virtually every room type at every DVC resort.
Yeah.
That you can take a look and see what these rooms are, and quite frankly, how much better they are than your standard hotel room. So when you consider that you're getting a superior product and you're paying less than you would for an inferior product, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I keep talking about my Grand California. I'm so excited about that stay. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I was so happy that it was, still, again, for you, again, it just further, I don't want to sound like just a broken record here, but you knew that was going to be an issue when it comes to availability.
Well, and because it's, I'm a DVC member, but that means nothing when I'm not booking at my home resort, and Grand Californian is not my home resort. So I don't have that 11-month booking window Paul was talking about. I have to book at 7 months. And I will tell you now, there is no availability at Grand Californian at 7 months for anything. Once in a blue moon, you might get lucky. But generally speaking, that's the toughest ticket to get, is a room at the Grand Californian. The fact that I was able to make one phone call and secure that in a matter of hours, you had that for me.
Yep.
Still blows my mind. Still blows, knowing how difficult that reservation is to get. But they've got the members that own points there, that are renting them out. They're able to match my request with a member who's trying to rent out their points.
And going even beyond the members, I am blessed to work for an amazing team and an amazing company. The people that we have on our reservation specialist team, they're going to be there to answer all of your questions throughout the rental process. Any questions you might have about the room that you booked, or any questions about just anything related to DVC renting, they are going to be able to help you with. And then my team that I work with on a daily basis, we work with the members and we make sure that, they're booking those rooms properly. We make sure that those matches are occurring properly. So we just have surrounded by a wonderful team of people that are going to, excuse me, that are really going to make that, a pleasant experience for you.
Yeah. And I know that you spoke a lot, Paul, about, planning ahead of time, looking at the 11-month window, as a guest so that the availability is greater. But if you are more of like a last minute person, they do have what are called confirmed reservations. So it kind of takes the availability issues out, because what these are is they're pre-booked reservations that maybe a member made and they decided that they couldn't take that trip anymore. So they sell them as already booked. So the dates are already very specific. But if you're kind of flexible, browse through those and look and see if any of those match, a trip that you'd like to take. And especially like the ones that are closer to checking in, like those get reduced. So sometimes you can get, a really good deal, especially if you're local and you want to, have a night stay. Sometimes I look at those and I'm like, oh, wow, we could go stay at the Polynesian, end of this weekend for, pretty cheap. So those are kind of fun to look at. You might find one of those that also just matches what you're looking for.
Yeah, there's always some crazy last minute deals, as Amy said, if you're flexible in that confirmed reservation space, because members' plans change. Maybe something came up and they can't go on that trip, and so they're trying to just get some money for it, go ahead and sell it, and so there's some awesome opportunities in terms of confirmed reservations as well. But yeah.
Yeah, it really is something you should be checking out. It may not be for you, but at least check it out and do some research. Go to their website, see what's available, and at least make it part of your planning process to see if it's something that can work for you. May not, but if it does, you're going to save money. You're going to save money. And that was the reason I wanted to do this, is that, we really don't talk about it much on this channel. And I promise you this channel is not going to be overrun with DVC content, so don't. This was something very specific I wanted to do here, just because I get a lot of questions on it. And a lot of people really don't know this is an option. So there you have it. That's a look at renting out DVC points as a potential way to save money on your next Disney vacation. DVCrentalstore.com is where you can head and check that out. And that is going to do it for this show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again. Well, not on this channel. If you're on DVC Fan channel, we'll see you next week with another show. But I'll see you on Tuesday with our next Dis Unplugged show. Have a great week, folks.